Howdy guys, welcome to night number 4 of Big Brother All-Stars, and this is Cliff Notes from outside the house. We're going to get right to it because there's a lot of stuff to cover tonight. Now, first of all, there's enough to cover. I think this is going to be 2 parts. I can't put it all in a single Instagram story. So part 1, I'll post out on Instagram on my feeds. Part 2 will be posted there as well. I'll combine them together. I'm going to put them out on my YouTube page if you'd rather watch it there. But we're going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. But I want to give you all the details as well. Before I'm going, let me give a special shout out to Instagram user Peyton Saturday, who sent me some notes, helped me out with some things I missed during the feeds. I can't watch every room all the time, so thank you, Peyton, for doing that. So let's get right to it. All kinds of stuff to cover, and I got a scoop on part 2. So don't just watch part 1, because I'm telling you, I got something. Cody had his own version of Cliff Notes in the HOH room. We'll talk about that in part 2. But part 1, right off the bat, veto competition. It took place later than it normally did last year for our season. It may be that with that Big Brother After Dark not on, they don't have the same pressure, time limitations. Anyway, they played it late evening or early evening. Whatever, doesn't matter. The key point is this. Veto competition, Enzo won the competition. It was called BB22. They all wore shirts with bananas on the front. It sounds like it's very similar to the Froggy style veto competition that I did, or that my season had in week 2. Which consisted of stacking a bunch of frogs, and whoever could stack the most and lock in would win. But you had to continually go back. In our season, you had to fill up a vial of water to keep your timer going. In this, it sounds like they had to get on maybe a giant banana and rock back and forth, is what I'm guessing, to activate and trigger more time. But anyway, so they did the competition, involved stacking a lot of different fruits and vegetables. Sounds like Enzo won the competition. Apparently, Kevin had a chance to lock in, but just about the time he did, his whole structure started to collapse as he was trying to hold it up before he could get it stabilized and get back to trigger more time or to lock in his votes. I guess he timed out before he could get it stable. So it was important for Kevin to win, to take himself off the block. Same with Keisha. Neither one did. Enzo won the competition. Enzo has already said that he's not going to use the competition, even though he was house guest choice and Kevin picked him earlier today. But he didn't want to use it. He didn't want to rock the boat. Doesn't want to get Cody mad at him. But what he did say is that he's going to tell Kevin that he's not going to use a veto. He just can't do it and alienate Cody. But that Kevin's not the target. That Enzo is going to do everything possible to campaign on Kevin's behalf. Which is works out pretty well, because later in the evening, Kevin, talking to Nicole, basically said, after having some discussions with Cody, Kevin came to the same realization that Enzo probably isn't going to use a veto. So instead of really pushing and pleading to use it, he's going to tell Enzo that, hey, I don't expect you to use it. I'm not asking you to use it. I understand your position, and I'm perfectly fine with it. Just, can you campaign for me? So he's going to suggest to Enzo exactly what Enzo's planning to tell him. So they're kind of on the same page, I think, with that. So I really do not expect Enzo to use this veto competition. So that was the veto. That took place early evening. I say early evening. I stay up all night long, so early evening is 9 o'clock Houston time or so, 7 o'clock their time. But let's talk about a few things that happened before the veto competition, just because I think there's some important ones in here. Nicole, Anthony, and Enzo continue to talk. They're spending a lot of time in that upstairs lounge talking. They're continuing to bond tighter and tighter, and it could be an East Coast thing, Long Island, Jersey. They just seem to be getting along very well, to the point that Enzo actually mentioned to Cody that she would be a good person to work with. So Anthony is still working on her relationships. Kevin was talking to Tyler and saying that he wants to work with him on the down low, and says that he knows Tyler's been talking to a lot of people, and Tyler denied it. Tyler says he didn't have any deals going on. He's not really talking to people and all that. But Tyler better be careful, because Kevin's aware of it. I think most people in the house are aware that Tyler's talking to a lot of folks. We talked about last night, he's made some final 2 deals. Now, in part 2, when I talk about Cody's HOH, you'll find out that Tyler may not have as many final 2s as someone else in his house. So we'll talk about that in a little bit. But Tyler and Kevin did have a talk about trying to work together. Another interesting conversation with Tyler, Danny talking to Tyler. She told Tyler that she doesn't want the next HOH because she doesn't have anyone that she wants to put up. There's no one that she hates enough that she wants to put them up and jeopardize her game and make people mad at her. Maybe that's the case, maybe not. I'm still of the opinion, this is just old Cliff Hogg's opinion, that she and Nicole Franzel both very well could target Nicole Anthony based on some things I talked about last night. But she says she doesn't want the HOH. Tyler told Danny that he is not creating alliances. That's not what he's doing this year. He's not creating alliances. We know better, right? We know he's creating final twos and alliances all over, but I don't know if Danny knows that or not. I have a feeling that she suspects it, but that's what he told Danny, is he's not creating alliances this year. Okay. What else is going on? A lot of conversations tonight, especially once the veto took place, but even beforehand as well. David and Ian talked, and Ian likes the fact that David got a chance to come back into the game and said that he would like to work with him. David's continuing a pretty strong social game, and it seems that David and Ian are both gravitating towards the new school group. Can't call it an alliance yet, I suppose, but the new school group, David and Ian just keep heading that way a little bit. Again, I think David is playing a good social game. He's laying it on a little thick, asking people, what is the veto competition, and really playing dumb on how Big Brother works. David's smart. So I know this is a bit of a strategy, and he knows more than he's letting on, but he's trying to present himself as a guy who doesn't know enough to be a threat. But these other players are smart, so he's got to be a little careful with that. Yeah, just saying. All right, so David and Ian talked. All right, slop blues. Slop rock may be a better description. They've been on slop for 2 or 3 days now. It is doing a number on them. Memphis is feeling horrible. He was upset and irritated last night with the lights and slop and everything else. I think today about all he had was 1 or 2 protein shakes, some olives, some pickles. He's trying to avoid the slop and feeling miserable. Nicole is she's got a slop baby is what she keeps saying, and spent a lot of time talking about how the normal progressions of intestines and all that just isn't quite working, and she's feeling miserable. And you can tell it in her face. Games making her stressed out, but physical issues, she's just feeling horrible. But even that may not match up with Ian. Ian spent a lot of the day heading towards the toilet or feeling like he needed to go there, throwing up. I know he said he threw up once or twice and a lot. So this slop's doing a number on a lot of the people in that house. They're probably going to be on it until, Wednesday or so. So they're about halfway through, but not fun for anyone up in that have-not room who's stuck on their slop diet. Let's see, what else? All right, now this is the part that excites me. Maybe no one else, but it excited me. When they moved into the house, they had a chess set, but that was it. Well, Ian, I've met Ian before here in Houston. I know he's such a huge expert and a huge fan of backgammon. I played a lot. I taught everyone in the house how to play last year. Well, Ian went into the diary room, made a request for a backgammon board. He got it. He got backgammon board this evening after the veto competition. Was very excited, played a game or two. Apparently Tyler knows how to play. I know Nicole knows how to play. And so that may be a good opportunity for, and I think Cody knows how to play too, based on some conversations later. So that may be a good chance for some of these people to bond together over a backgammon set. And so Ian was very happy to see the backgammon set. I was too. Good job. Now, here's the other deal. Not only backgammon, they also got dominoes. I begged for dominoes the whole time I was in that house. Said, just give me some dominoes. I'll teach these people to play. It's strategy. It'll be a lot of fun. There's a game called 42 that we play here in Texas. Oh, love it. Love it. I never got dominoes, but Ian did. So props to Ian. He's an all-star. He gets a little more when he requests it than I do, but he got it. So that's pretty good. All right, let's see. What else is going on? He got the backgammon board. Let's see, post-veto. Okay, maybe that was before the veto when he got the board. So here's what's going on post-veto. First of all, they're all getting excited for the backyard. Last season, lots of times when we did veto competitions on Saturday, we would get the backyard midnight, 1 o'clock or so. Didn't matter. We were still out there enjoying being the outdoors. They are so ready for it. with the late veto competition, probably fewer people because of COVID tearing down. It probably won't be till tomorrow, but they're already counting on getting out in that backyard, whether it's hot or cold, enjoying the pool table. Our washers and dryers are out there as well, so you can't do laundry except when the yard's open. Y'all may not know that, but anyway, so they're excited about the backyard, and I don't blame them. Nicole Franzel, she told Nicole Franzel told Danny that she had a conversation with Nicole Anthony. So keep all these names separated. Nicole Franzel had a conversation with Nicole Anthony where she told Nicole Anthony that Nicole's co-host, who is Eric from Your Reality Recaps, that Eric hates Nicole Franzel's guts. Nicole was a bit upset with this, taken aback, let's say, had some tears, was a little shocked, hurt, worried, nervous that Nicole Franzel was so forward about the way she thinks that Nicole Anthony's co-host feels about her. And so that's, again, it gets back to my narrative that I feel like since yesterday that keeps getting brought up, and I think in the right situation, if Nicole Franzel's HOH, it could be an easy excuse to put Nicole Anthony on the block. So keep watching out for that. In other news, Nicole Franzel, this isn't really game strategy, but Nicole Franzel said that she is a huge fan of Dr. Pimple Popper. I think she watched a lot of, she wanted her on her podcast or had her on a podcast. All right, Nicole Franzel, Dr. Pimple Popper, if the two of y'all are like this, then I'm going to have to start cheering against you, okay? Last season, there were too many people popping pimples in the Big Brother 21 house. I don't like that stuff. I couldn't stand it back then. Don't even like hearing the name discussed. So I'm sorry, Franzel, but you and I, we just aren't going to be able to make it happen if you're going to be supporting Dr. Pimple Popper. But, you know, we all have our flaws. Obviously, we'll start right here, but we all have our flaws. No pimple popper for me. All right. Just a little side note. Let's keep on going because we got a lot to cover, and I tend to ramble. Janelle and Kazar in the key room talking. Janelle says that they have to vote with the House. You remember last night they had a discussion about how should they fight for the veto, should they not? Now Janelle's saying we got to vote with the House, however it goes. They want to save Keisha, but they've got to vote whatever it is. Kazar says he told Cody also that he would vote however Cody wants. So they've gotten the message. They are trying to lay low. They don't want to be looked at as the huge target or the head of another group that may be going after Cody and some of the new schoolers. So they're going to just play low, even if it means losing Keisha, I think. Janelle also said that she wants to work with Tyler and Cody and try to get rid of David. That's a little bit newer strategy that I heard today. It reminds me a lot like All-Stars Season 7, where the two heads of the alliances kind of reached a truce and picked off some of the other people. That worries me. That could affect people like David, Nicole, Ian, Christmas perhaps. So, you know, that's we'll see if that progresses anywhere or not. I want the big targets to be going after each other, just for personal reasons and who I'm cheering for. They talked about how smart David is. He beat Ian in chess. Here's the thing. When you're playing chess, backgammon, anywhere else, the game is always going on, and we're not talking about the board game. Even seeing how someone performs in games like that says a lot about how you are, your intelligence, how much you notice things. So David beat Ian in a chess game, and they're now saying, oh, David's pretty smart in addition to the social game, so he has to be careful on that. Real quick, you know what? I'm going to go ahead and shut it down till part 2 because we're already pretty close. Again, I got a lot to talk about, but you want to come back for part 2 because I'm going to talk about Cody and some of the things he said very late at night before anything else shut down. So guys, I'm going to post this on my Instagram feeds. I'm going to post it on YouTube, but don't stop here. Go find part 2, and it'll be posted right after this first one. See y'all in a bit, guys. Bye. Howdy. All right, so part 2, let's talk about some other things. Bailey and Janelle talking in the key room. Lots of conversations going on. Bailey and Jan in the key room. Bailey asked if Jan is only wanting to play with the old school, if they really see well-defined lines there. Janelle says she wants to play with anyone who's willing to do shit. Bailey states that she's kind of waiting for the first shoe to drop before she decides exactly what she wants to do, how she's going to play the game and all that. And it's a good idea. We'll talk a little bit about Bailey and Devon are kind of free agents. They're working closely together, but they're free agents, and I think that's a good game plan. Anyway, Bailey is questioning Ian's loyalties. She's not sure where he stands. Janelle suggests that people like Ian can easily be used as pawns, and I could see that happening. Whether we're talking Ian or Kevin or Nicole Anthony, there's some people that could easily be at risk for just that type of strategy. Kaiser came in right after that. Bailey asked Kaiser, said, who do you prefer to vote out? Who do you want out? Kaiser thought for a minute, finally looked there and said, well, Keisha is the bigger target. He didn't say he wanted her out, but he did respond with Keisha's name. And again, I think it's a matter of them playing towards where they think the house is leaning and not wanting to necessarily get drugged too far as Keisha potentially goes down. Which in my opinion, I think Keisha's the target right now. But things could change. Hey, ask me about day 30 when I was evicted. Things changed at the end. So you never know. But right now, I think Keisha's probably the target. Bailey and Devon talking in the bathroom. Again, these two working together, but kind of free agents. And I think they're both playing a great game. I admire what they're doing so far. Bailey is suggesting that Kaiser really likes Devon. And Devon says that Danny would likely go after the guys first. So they're trying to feel out the other people. Again, I kind of feel like Bailey is maybe a little bit closer aligned with the new schools. Devon a little bit closer with the old schools, but they're again together, so they're sharing information and they'll wait and see how everything falls again as the shoe drops before they make their decisions about who to jump on board with. But good job. All right. Now a little break from the strategy, and it was nice. They finally got away from from some discussions. I think 8, 9, 10 people at different times came into the key room, just sitting around telling stories. And there's some funny stories. Nicole Anthony told a story. She went and applied for a job at the Dollar Tree. They said, "When will you be available?" She said, "Oh, anytime you want. I'm available right now." They said, "What hours can you work?" And she said, any hours you want, I'm available. They said, "Well, how far away are you from here? Is that going to be an issue?" She says, "No, I live less than a mile from the store, so no problem at all." And they said, "Oh, great. Okay, we'll be in touch." They didn't offer her the job. Even after all that, they didn't offer the job. So I'm sorry, Nicole Anthony. They missed out. They absolutely missed out. Enzo told some amazing stories, some hilarious stories. He talked about how he got the name or the term meow meow. And go find it on the feeds if you want. But anyway, he told the story about how he got the name Meow Meow. He also talked about a job he had selling crayons. Saw an advertisement, said, "Oh, be a salesman. Within 6 months, you could be sales manager and do all kinds of wonderful things." He shows up. They say, "Yeah, you sell crayons. Where do you sell them to?" Wherever. He went door to door, picked out a different city. He said he stayed away from the cities where he knew people because he was embarrassed. Spent about a month trying to sell crayons. He said he wasn't very good at it because he was a little nervous and embarrassed about it. So that was pretty fun. Janelle told a story about selling items from Wayfair or some similar type online purchasing type place to people all over the nation. But she didn't do very well because she would tell people that the products weren't that good or really cheap. She talked about a Halloween bowl that was kind of cheap and not that good. And at that point, Nicole said, "My family owns that. We actually bought it." So that was fun. They told some funny stories. It was, I think, a lot of people just getting together, blowing off some steam and having fun, and I love seeing that. Kevin told a story that was very interesting. He said he had zero plans to go to college. His parents actually dissuaded him from going to college. Jehovah's Witnesses, I think. And nothing. But his family didn't really see college in his future. But there was a program designed for low-income kids, and they actually pulled him in. He got an internship working in a hospital. The nurses there convinced him that he needed to go to college. They liked some of the marketing stuff he did, and it led to his career. And they don't even know how they changed his life. So a really impactful story, and just hits home how, so many kids, if you just give them a chance, the amazing things they can do, rise above maybe where they think they should be. So I loved hearing Kevin's story. But all right, now back to strategy. I just had to take a little break. I like taking a break just like they do. All right, Kevin and Cody in the HOH room. Very interesting conversations here, and I tried to summarize it. They were up there for quite a bit. Kevin obviously would love to get pulled off the block and not have to worry about packing and potentially going home. But Cody explained to Kevin that if he comes off, then Cody has to put up a replacement, and Cody's afraid that replacement will then assume that they are the real target. This is a backdoor situation, and he doesn't want that. Obviously he doesn't want any more blood on his hands, doesn't want anyone else mad at him. But he tells Kevin that he's not the target. Now, I think he told Keisha the same thing at some point, but I think he's maybe more serious with Kevin. Says that Kevin is not the target and that he will push to save Kevin when the vote comes up. Kevin's still trying to pull some strings, make something work, so he tells Cody that if Cody pulls him off the block, that Kevin will play in the safety competition next week, and if he wins, he will save Cody in exchange for Cody helping him here. Cody says, "Nah, I don't want you to do that. That's fine. Won't do that." But tells Kevin that doesn't mean they can't still work together. He wants to work together, and I think Kevin at the end basically tells him that, look, if you save me, if I don't go home, I won't put you on the block next week if I was to win the HOH. So obviously Cody's worried that he can't compete for HOH. But later in the evening when he's talking to the cameras, he said, well, that's pretty good. Basically I put a guy on the block, and now he's saying he won't even put me back on the block if he wins HOH. So I feel like Kevin did a decent job of offering things up and letting Cody know that he's willing to work with him if he'll just keep him safe this week. So yet another reason why Keisha may be a little more target right now. All right, what else going on? Kevin later talking to Nicole Anthony in the bathroom. Most people are in bed by this point, but he's talking to Nicole Anthony. He repeats to her what he talked to Cody about, working together, and asked Nicole, said, can you listen over the next few days and see if Cody truly is campaigning on my behalf and trying to protect me, or is he just gassing me up? Is this just to get me out of the room type thing? So Nicole said she's going to listen. If he truly is campaigning, then Kevin's going to feel much more comfortable about trying to work with Cody, and maybe that it wasn't anything personal, and feel much better about the situation. At this point is when the conversation came up about Kevin going to Enzo and saying, look, don't use the veto. I get it. Just don't use it, but can you campaign for me? So it originated here, and it'll fit in well with Enzo's plans as well. Now, another interesting little thing that occurred here, Nicole Anthony told Kevin that Keisha told her that she already has 6 people in her little group / alliance, call it what you will, in her group, and that Nicole would be number 7. And obviously she's trying to convince Nicole Anthony that she's got a group that will protect Nicole, that Kevin's a lone wolf, that he doesn't have the support that Keisha does, and therefore wanting to support Nicole's vote to send Kevin home instead of Keisha. I don't think it's going to happen. Based on my own experiences, Nicole, very loyal. She feels a tighter bond with Kevin at this point. Unless the writing is just on the wall that it's going to be Kevin. And if that's the case, then Nicole does what she has to. But if she has control over the situation, I think she's sticking with Kevin at this point in time. But Keisha made her pitch that she's got 6, that Nicole would be 7. I'm guessing you're talking Keisha, Memphis, Janelle, Kaiser, Ian, Davon, Nicole, probably are the names. I may miss 1 or 2 in there, but she's talking about trying to bring in David as well, I believe. So she's got a lot of people she thinks she could grab. Does she really have them or not? We will find out over the next few days and the next week or 2, right? So anyway, they had that. I thought the evening was over. Everyone else was in bed. Kevin went home. That's not a Freudian slip or anything, is it? Kevin's and Nicole are finishing up their conversations, but while they're doing that, Cody, who gets ready to go to bed, starts talking to the camera. We'll call it Cody's notes, because he's very much talking to the camera, telling him what's going on. Very interesting. He feels like the conversations are going well. Tyler's had a lot of alliances created, right? I mean, final twos and everything else. Cody's proven to be the master at alliances and relationships as opposed to Tyler, at least for right now. We'll see how well it works out. Cody spent a lot of time saying, I just wish Derek was here because he would understand it so much better than I am, and I'm really feeling lost without Derek here. So let's go through a list of alliances and bonds that Cody himself specified that he has right now. One, he's got an alliance of himself, Davon, Bailey, and Enzo. That's one. Number two, he's got an alliance with Danny, Nicole Franzel, and Enzo and himself. Number three, he's got a final two with Enzo. Number four, he's got a final two with Memphis. Number five, he has a final two with Nicole Franzel. Number six, I'm running out of fingers here. Number six, Ian wants a final two. He didn't say he had a final two, but he's saying Ian wants a final two with him. He also said he's not real sure about that one. He's a little bit more on the edge, but there's a possibility of a final two with Ian. And apparently Kazar wants he didn't call it final two, but Kazar wants it with him also. So it sounds like potentially a final two. So that is, what does that work out to? Two tight alliances. Maybe they aren't tight. Two alliances that he thinks he's in, plus another 5 final twos with 5 different people. All right, Cody. He's going to have to be careful if people start talking back and forth. It could catch up to him down the road, but he is certainly creating a lot of bonds with a whole lot of different people. Something else he said is, obviously he and Tyler have been working together. I was kind of surprised that Tyler wasn't thrown in there as well. He says he's not sure how to take Tyler because when they talk, Tyler just sits there, doesn't say a whole lot. Tyler's absorbing it all in, and Cody feels like he's doing all the talking. Tyler knows what he's doing. He's letting Cody spill everything out. Tyler's just sitting there and taking it all in. So he's not sure how to take Tyler. He's got new respect for Ian after the conversation they had. That he said he always assumed that Ian just won because maybe not bitter jury, but you know that it was as much the other person in the chair as himself. But now, as listening to Ian talk, he realizes how strategic Ian is, that it was all planned out. So new respect for Ian. He did say that Danny is the only person that he's talking to right now that is truly offering opinions and conversations back and forth and has helped Cody actually figure some things out. He supposedly has a final two with Nicole Franzel, but he said he doesn't know what's going on with her, that she is so nervous about the two of them being seen together that she won't even stay up in the room long enough to talk to him and figure out ideas, that she's just super nervous and really not helping him figure things out at all. So he's not sure what's going on with her. He says he feels pretty good about David. Yet again, David, you know, his name keeps coming up. Everyone's feeling comfortable with David, so he's doing what he needs to do. Feels good about David. He did say that he is absolutely going to play in a safety competition next week because he can't compete in the HOH, and he's worried if he doesn't compete in the safety comp, he could get backdoored. The only person he mentioned that maybe he wouldn't play, and I think he's saying he would anyway, but he said if Enzo won HOH, that he may not need to play in that case, but otherwise he's going to. He also said Enzo already won his one competition for the season, so that's probably not going to happen. So Cody is thinking ahead to what's going to happen next week and a little bit worried that he's going to be vulnerable and that a lot of people are going to be coming after him if they get the opportunity. All right, real quick to wrap this up. He's worried about Christmas, what's going on with her. We haven't heard as much from her. She's talking to people, but doesn't seem quite as much strategy as other people. He's worried that, is there an all-guys alliance forming without Cody? He mentioned a lot of the different guys. Could there be a ringleader of any of them? So he's a little bit worried about that. He figures that Kazar is going to put him on the block if he gets a chance. And finally, he said he's going to take all of Ian's money. Now that they've got backgammon set, Ian thinks he's the expert. He's going to take all of the money Ian's ever won playing him in backgammon throughout the season. So little fun to finish it up. All right, guys, a lot of conversation, lots of talk. So y'all take it easy. We'll try to come back tomorrow, give you a new update. Have a great Sunday. SKD 143. Bye, guys. Cheers. Bye.